Hi, welcome. This is a quick tutorial on how to actually do the searching. So I have up here the data tab, you'll see, and this is the spreadsheet I've already logged in. We're going to be just doing one source just to keep this tutorial simple. Here we have the source that we're interested in, 129.371 plus 0.746. We're going to be filling out these columns here: image, max 1, background 1, name 1, initials 1, and comments 1. The second user will be filling out 2, and the third person will be filling out 3. So we have the data here. This is where we're going to input everything. And we have here the search window. So I'm going to click this button. It should open up a new tab. And here's our search interface. So I'm interested in just that one source. I know actually that it is these data here, MA1, that we want to load. So there's MA1. Please check that other tutorial for galactic coordinates, and check the third one for information on how to use this interface. So I'm going to change this. This was already logarithmic actually, so I can click this button. It won't do anything. And I'm going to use my mouse pointer to get a good contrast here. So in this field you're seeing various things. These are radio data. Most of the points are actually black holes at the centers of other galaxies. You notice up here there's this big bright patch of emission. That's a supernova remnant from a supernova that went off, and we're seeing the afterglow of that hot gas that's created in that explosion. You see also this kind of diffuse emission. That's emission in our galaxy from free electrons. And there are some H2 regions that we're interested in. In order to find those, we're going to go up here to regions, and you notice here that we are at longitude 129. So that's this first number here, if you can see my pointer. So I want to select the region file corresponding to that. These are all various longitudes, and so 127 is as close as we can get. So you notice that there are two cyan regions, and we're only interested in the cyan ones. These are the candidates that we hope to observe. So we can actually zoom in, and we're interested in just this one, 129.371.746, and we can zoom in a couple times. That's probably too much. And we'll go up here, and there's our region. So what we're going to be doing is called aperture photometry. The goal of aperture photometry is to determine how bright the object is within the aperture. The aperture in this case is just a circle. So within this circle we want to know how bright is the brightest pixel. But we want to know how bright that is above the background value. So we can zoom out, and you see that this source is on top of a background. It's kind of that orange glowing stuff here. And so we want to isolate that. The procedure here is relatively simple for compact sources. I'll put examples up on the site for larger sources because it does get more complicated. But basically these circles for these compact sources are pretty good. We see here the maximum value is 7.17. This little box here is whatever region is currently selected. So if we were doing this one, that would change, the maximum value would change. Back to our source region, the maximum value is 7.17, and it actually gives you a background, in this case of 5.29. That background is telling you what's outside of the source. So the source is just this little guy in the center. Outside of the source is the background, and we can see that that value is pretty consistent if we move this around. 5.26, 5.31. So in that case it's good enough. In the case that the source is isolated from everything else, though, it doesn't hurt to make this bigger. You're going to get a better sampling of the background. And in this case, it's still about the same, 5.29. So our maximum value is 7.17, and the background is 5.29. So let's go back to our data tab here. Here's our source. I'm going to fill this out first, 7.17, 5.29. Get these as accurate as is reasonable. They don't have to be perfect, of course. Name, we're going to call this Skywalker. Been doing a lot of Star Wars things in our house lately. Initials is my initials. And comments here, this source is compact. You can write whatever you think is useful in the comments section. There is no form at all. For the image, let's put down which image we're using. We're using MA1. This is only done for the first user. Everyone else will be able to see this and go immediately to MA1 if they're interested in this source. And there we have it. There's one source. Now this is relatively simple for compact sources. For larger sources it does get more complicated, and I'll put some examples up on the website of things to watch out for. We can do one more very quickly. 129.196, again it's compact, and we can figure out the maximum value here is 5.91, and the background is 5.38. So let's go 129.196. It's up here. This is the same image, MA1. I've already forgotten. It's 5.91, and the background is 5.38. And we'll name this Leia, and my initials, and this is also compact. So the only thing you have to do here is find the maximum value and the background. One thing quickly to watch out for is if you do make these too big, so that they are including other sources here, like this one, it is now the maximum is 14.02. That's bad, because that 14 does not correspond to our source, which is that tiny little guy. So please pay attention to the native size of the circles there. Also, when loading the circles, be sure to load a couple around. So that was 127. Here I loaded 122.5, and I'll also load 132.5. Oops, I just reloaded that one. So be sure that you get all the sources so that you don't have to reload the images multiple times. And that's it. Happy hunting.